Howdy folks. Now lots of you watching this will be thinking that all the good EV lease deals have come to an end because the year's over and we're into a new one. Well, you'd be wrong, because there are still some amazing deals around. I think last year I said I think the deals are going to be spread out all over the year and we won't get quite that last minute craziness. We had one or two really good deals at the end of the year, but for the large part, most of the deals we were seeing on EVs were like half the price they were the previous year. And I think that's going to continue through this year, at least for the time being. So let's crack on. All 3-year deals on 10,000 miles a year. Link to Lease Loco in the video description. Please favourite that, bookmark it, whatever you need to do. But I really need you to use that link rather than just Googling Lease Loco, because I get nothing for it if you do that. So please help a brother out. And this video is sponsored by ALA Insurance. Starting off with the Peugeot 𝑒208. It's the 115 kilowatt GT, 271 quid a month with 815 upfront, 248 miles of range, 309 litres of boot space. Insurance group 31, 156 brake horsepower, 0 to 62 of 8.2 seconds, which must feel absolutely rapid in that little thing. I don't know if you're aware, but the smaller the car, the quicker it feels. And that will feel very lively, even though 8 seconds is not particularly special by today's standards. £392 a month on average, 725 at its peak. Crikey. I'm guessing they didn't sell any or lease any at that price, so you'll see it drop down shortly thereafter. And back in October, it went up to 575 a month. That's just utterly bananas. I failed to get some of the price in at times. Lowest point is now £271.81 a month, compared to that average of 392. That looks like decent value. The Nissan Leaf's on here, £209 a month. That's on the 10,000 miles a year. But I've sort of been having a little bit of a play around for this. This one's the Tecna, by the way, so it's a bit nicer spec than the entry level, etc. If you went down to 5,000 miles a year on it, which I think is probably going to be enough for quite a lot of people with a lease, you're looking at 191 quid. You could keep it at 203 with no initial payment, so you just do 36 straight months at 203. If you put 12 months down on it, you can get that car down to 150 quid. That's £1,800 out of your account on day one. But I don't know, you have a play around with these things, folks, because I show you what is the most common lease profile, which is 3 months up front, 3 years, 10,000 miles a year. But have a play around here with this little navigation at the top of the screen, because it can help you out a lot. And obviously use my link to do it. Vauxhall Astra 115 kilowatt GS, £260 a month with 782 up front, 259 miles of range, 156 horsepower, insurance group 26 and 352 litres of boot space. 0 to 62 in 9.2 seconds, 387 a month has been the average, 745 at its peak. Currently £260 and 79p, which is the cheapest price it's been. Just back the day before Christmas Eve, it was 300 quid a month. Currently 260 with 782 up front. If you need a bit more room, you've also got the Sports Tourer. I think that looks great as well. I really do like the styling of the new Astra. But that Sports Tourer, I think, looks really quite nice. 516 litres of boot space in that one. This one's the GS. We are looking at an average of £439 a month on that one, 728 at its peak. This is the lowest price we've seen at £266.86. The numbers on that go back to October, by the way. Look at this, folks. There's so much choice under 300 quid at the moment. Citroen EC4, 221 miles of range, 380 litres of boot space. Insurance group 23, 136 brake horsepower and 0 to 62 of 10 seconds. 380 a month on average, 708 at its peak. It did have a lower point. It was at 250 quid a month at one point, which was bananas on this car. Average on it's been 380, currently 275 with 826 up front. Next we've got the MG ZS Electric SE EV long range, £282 a month with 845 up front, 273 miles of range, Insurance Group 28 and 470 litres of boot space. 0 to 62's 8.4 seconds. 354 a month on average, 433 at its peak. At its lowest point, it was about £7 a month less than it is right now. These are massively popular things. I think loads of them are on Motability, which has given them so many sales, but that means you see so many of them on the road. But you can get yourself one privately at the moment for £845 up front and £282 a month. Renault Scenic, E-Tech, Techno, Long Range, Auto, various other things. 1120 up front and 373 a month. 217 brake horsepower, Insurance Group 32, 545 litres of boot space. 447 a month on average, 525 at its peak, 319 at its lowest point, which you can see was a little bit of a blip there because it'd been 450 all the way around it, then 438, 440, all in that kind of region. And then it dropped just at the beginning of December down to sort of 374 quid, currently 373 with 1120 up front. When I was at Geneva this year, that won World Car of the Year. I still haven't driven one, which is a great shame. But check that out, 1120 up front and 373 a month. We've then got the Nissan Ariya Evolve. This one's got the 22 kilowatt charging capability. So if you've got a three-phase supply at home, you can charge it a little bit quicker should you wish to. You've got leather seats in this one, 380 quid a month with 1142 up front, 322 miles of range, 242 brake horsepower, Insurance Group 34 and 408 litres of boot space. Go and check out my review on the Ariya if you haven't already done so, because it was a very, very surprising car, and surprising in a good way. 0 to 62, by the way, 7.6 seconds. £572 a month has been the average, 680 at its peak, and its lowest point was £2 less than it is now. It was 378 a month. It's currently 380 a month with 1142 up front. Okay, so if we wanted gap insurance on that, which I strongly suggest we do, let's have a look at this. I'll say that the Ariya is 50 grand. I think they start at about 39 and go up to 59. I'll say it's 50 grand. We want 3 years of cover. We want to cover 380 quid a month. We want an initial rental of up to 2 grand. So that's basically your upfront payment. So we want cover for that. Up to 50 grand cover. So that means the gap can be 50 grand. So the amount that the leasing company's asking you to settle the finance on the car, basically, versus the amount the insurance company's paying out. So if the insurance company pays out 35 grand and the lease company's asking you for 45 grand, you would need 10 grand's worth of cover. This is giving you 50 grand's worth of cover. You've also got £250 worth of cover towards your insurance excess. So you can even get the actual insurance policy excess recovered up to 250 grand. We've put in the code here, Jim10, and that makes this price £128.85. But that's for 3 years of cover. That's not 128 quid a year or a month or anything like that. That's for 3 years. So that really does seem like decent value. You can now add ALA breakdown cover. You've got different options for that in here. You can add alloy wheel and tyre insurance. You can add scratch and dent cover, all those kind of things if you want. But the one thing that I really suggest you strongly consider, if nothing else at all, is the gap insurance. The great thing about ALA is that they don't have commission salespeople, they have customer service staff. So if you did want to chat this through with anyone, you can give them a ring on 01653 916 304, or you can scan the QR code on your screen and it will take you directly to their website. And don't forget to put in that code Jim10 because that will help you save a few quid. VW ID4 is next. This one's the Match Pro, £376 a month with 1128 up front, 349 miles of range, 543 litres of boot space, Insurance Group 33, 6.7 seconds to 62. For the longest period of the year, it was about 450 quid a month, 430 quid a month, that kind, between 450 and 400 basically. At its peak, 889. They wouldn't have sold any at that price, but it was there at some point, evidently. An average of 442, currently 376 with 1128 up front. That's a car with loads of range, plenty of space. You can get a cheaper one, though. You can get the Match Pure, but that's the smaller battery. So if you don't particularly need the big battery, you can go for that and get one for 338 quid a month. That's ID3 money, folks. So that is fairly compelling. You do lose a bit of battery range though. So, you know, give that some consideration. But if you only ever do town driving, why bother? Just go for that one and save yourself a few quid. The ID7 Tourer is next, the Match Pro, 373 miles of range, insurance group 38, 605 litres of boot space, 286 brake horsepower, 6.6 seconds to 62, 484 a month on average. Its lowest point was a bit less than this, about 15 quid less than this. For quite a long period, actually, it was about £403 a month. And the Saloon and the Tourer were more or less the same. The Saloon currently is quite a lot more than this, so the Tourer is a much better deal. And I think it's the car I would go for personally. I think it looks great, and it's obviously got a bit more practicality about it. Nice interior as well. There's a lot to like about the ID7 Tourer. 1,251 upfront and 417 a month gets you in one of those. The Maxus 9 Luxury 8-seat is next. I saw one of these in the wild the other day in London. Funnily enough, being used as an Uber. There's a surprise. 269 miles of range, 466 litres of boot space, 0-62 in 9.9. I know nothing about these things. It was 380 quid a month, so it's 25 quid a month more than it was, but it's in stock. And how many 8-seat electric vehicles are there really at the moment? Over £1,000 a month on average, 1,400 a month at its peak, currently 405 with 1217 up front. Peugeot E3008, this is the new one. It's got quite a lot more range than perhaps models of old. And it's in GT trim, which is nice. And look at this, the GT trim is 70 quid cheaper than the Allure trim, which is not as good. 588 litres of boot space, insurance group 33, 326 miles of range, and a 0-62 of 8.8 seconds. 540 a month on average, 783 at its peak, 418.93 at its lowest point. Oh, that's today. It's a factory order, this one. 1,256 upfront and £418 a month. Folks, just a very quick reminder to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Thanks. Then we've got the Cupra Gaviscon, £424 a month with 1,282 upfront. It is, of course, called the Tavascan, but I quite like the Gaviscon. 353 miles of range, 286 brake horsepower, insurance group 34, and 540 litres of boot space. 563 a month on average, 974 at its peak, and at its lowest point it was 2 quid a month less than it is right now. 1,282 up front, 427 a month, and 0-62 in that one, by the way, 6.8 seconds. If you haven't seen the Tavascan yet, here we go. Quite a nice looking beast. But I really do like the look of that. It's got some really cool lines in it, and it's not the sort of generic mid-size SUV that we're seeing from much of the market at the moment. It's got a bit of life about it. Next, we've got the Skoda Enyaq iV, 210 kilowatt, 85X Sportline Plus 4x4, 328 miles of range, 286 brake horsepower, insurance group 37, 585 litres of boot space, and 6.6 to 62, 497 a month. 543 at its peak. Its lowest point, it was 417, but against that average of 497, the current price of 443 looks pretty decent, and this one is in stock. 1,330 upfront and 443 a month. Peugeot E5008 is next, again in GT spec. £461 a month with about 1,400 quid upfront. 310 miles of range, 213 horsepower, insurance group 35, 348 litres of boot space, but that's with all the seats up. 9.7 seconds to 62. Not too many 7-seaters around, either in the EV space at the moment, so it's good to see another one of those. £622 a month on average, over £1,000 at its peak. This is the lowest price we've seen it so far. 1,385 up front and 461 a month. Here's a brilliant car for you. It's the BYD Seal. I think it's a very striking looking thing. I much prefer the looks of it to the Tesla, I have to say. But probably overall, I think the Tesla Model 3 is probably the better car, but it's a very, very good car. 354 miles of range, 400 litres of boot space, insurance group 48, 312 brake horsepower, 1,316 up front and 438 a month. 0 to 62 and that one's 5.9 seconds, 581 a month on average, 687 at its peak. At its lowest point, it was 391, but that was for literally a New York minute. Prior to that, it was 629, and after that, it was 580. That average of 580, you know, speaks for itself. Currently 438 with 1,316 up front. BMW i4 Grand Coupe eDrive 40 M Sport, 358 miles of range, 340 brake horsepower, 470 litres of boot space, and insurance group 38. 5.6 seconds to 62 on that one. Lovely looking thing, magnificent car to drive. I've driven a few of them and I love them. £593 has been the lowest price on it, so only a fiver less than it is now. At its peak, it was 933. And on average, it's been 778. When you think about that, when you compare this to the average price, you could almost get this and a Nissan Leaf for the price that this has been on average. That's how good the saving is. £598 a month with £1,795 up front, and it gets you into that bad boy. I like it. BMW i7, the land barge. It's your lounge on wheels. 378 miles of range, insurance group 50, 500 litres of boot space, 455 brake horsepower, 0 to 62 in 5.5, 730 quid a month with 2,200 up front. There is nothing that will make you happier than doing a long motorway drive in one of these. It's just absolutely glorious. And I'm going to show you the interior in a second, but let's look at the price first. £1,171 a month on average, £1,400 a month at its peak. And this is the lowest price we've seen at 730 quid a month. That's almost half the price it was at its peak and well under the average. Look at that, 300-400 quid a month under the average on it. 2,200 up front, 730 a month. Let's have a look at that interior. Just look at that. Ooh, I still can't get the hand of driving this interior thing. And in the back, have a look at that bad boy. Big drop-down TV for your rear seat passengers. It's bananas, folks. Absolutely bananas. Do you get that on this one? I don't know. You probably don't get that TV on this spec. I'm not particularly sure. But whatever, it's a lovely car and a great price. Thank you for watching, folks. As always, thank you to all my channel members. I really do appreciate all of you. And thank you to all the people that take the time to use the Lease Loco link and to bookmark it and favorite it and all the rest of it. It really, really does make a difference. And thanks to ALA for sponsoring today's video. Don't forget to check them out. You can scan that QR code on the screen or just go to ala.co.uk and use the code JIM10 at checkout so they know I sent you, basically. Thanks ever so much for watching, folks. I'll see you on the next one. Huge thanks to all my channel members for your continued support. I really do appreciate it.